Hello everyone. 2 days ago, I made a video on the coming eclipses. We cannot look them as a separate eclipse, lunar and then solar, because they both complete each other. So we have on the 14th of October, we have the annular solar eclipse, and then we have the lunar eclipse on the 28th of October, both very important eclipses. Luckily, none of them is total. Still, they're very powerful. My analysis of 2 days ago was having more of world mundane perspective. I used the knowledge which I have from the Babylonian astronomy, astrology, on how the ancients would look at the eclipses. So this video was more on the collective. Now I will complete the video by looking at the 12 ascendants. If you like, start with my video of 2 days ago, because you will see how the ancients used to analyze eclipses. They were very important for them. Like I mentioned, Sargon the Great would have his team, and he also personally would watch every single eclipse and would note and make diaries on the omens and the influences of the eclipses. That important they are. Now we'll be looking as a continuation of my previous video on the 12 ascendants and how the eclipses will have impact on us. Now, just to remind you, we have significant change, and the eclipses now, most of them, of course, the first eclipse is happening on the axis of Pisces, Virgo, because the lunar nodes shift from Aries, Libra into Pisces, Virgo. And the second eclipse is happening on the axis of first degrees of Aries, Libra. But for the next 2 years, the eclipses will fall mainly on the axis of Pisces, Virgo, because the lunar nodes shift their placements and they go into Pisces, Virgo. So now when I will be looking at the two coming eclipses, I will be still looking at both places, Aries, Libra, Pisces, Virgo. But keep in mind, for the last 2 years, most of the eclipses took place, 2022, 2023, took place on the axis of Aries, Libra. And we witnessed great changes on this axis, related also to the war, to the warlike situation, which we see because RAHU is in Aries, and he actually and KETU activated the eclipses in this particular area. So this was just my brief introduction. Bigger introduction is in my previous video. This is like part 2 really, but more, like I said, on personal level, on the level of the 12 ascendants. So let's see what is happening with people who have sidereal ascendant Aries, or moon in Aries, or if you're following the modern tropical astrology, this would be Taurus, because we need to look from both perspectives, since some people follow the sidereal, other people follow the modern tropical astrology. Now, first of all, we have 2 eclipses this month. Like I said, one on Aries Libra axis, second on Pisces. First one is happening on the axis Pisces Virgo, and the second one on Aries Libra, which means that you're still related, you're still the changes which used to happen to you personally, to your personal desires, to your personal goals, work, spirituality, awakening, it's still in process. But the first eclipse on Aries Libra will have impact. Eclipse on Aries Libra. I don't see this eclipse afflicting you so much unless you have a luminary on the axis of Aries Libra. So the first eclipse you will probably not feel that much. But the second one you will still experience, because the second one is still happening on your ascendant descendant, meaning this can have impact on your personal desires, plans, even relationships. So remain balanced. Don't watch really the eclipses. Temporarily, we don't really do new initiatives. And keep in mind, I mentioned in the previous video, the first eclipse is having impact for 3 months and 10 days, the second one as well, and you will be more influenced by the second one. It means during November, December, January, don't make any important new initiatives. Be balanced. Try not to try to be patient in partnership in general, also in your romantic life. The eclipses happening on 12 sixth houses will not have influence so much on you, but of course be a little bit more responsible for your health. Of course, like I mentioned in my previous video, you can, all of you, if you like, you can take a look at my specific readings, which will be about, of course, eclipses of 2023, 4, 5, and also about the placements of the lunar nodes on the axis of Pisces, Virgo, how they will influence our lives, the lives of the 12 ascendants. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Virgo or moon in Virgo. I'm looking at people who have sidereal ascendant Taurus or moon in Taurus, or if you're following the modern tropical astrology, this will be Gemini. Now for you, the eclipses, the first eclipses happen on the axis of 11th, 5th houses, the second eclipse in October on the axis of Aries, Libra, which is your 12th, 6th houses. In general, if you don't have luminaries on this axis, since the ascendant are not afflicted, I don't see you really suffering from these eclipses. But of course, be a little bit more responsible for your health, be a little bit more attentive with children, friendships can have change. Also, these eclipses and the changes of the placements of Rahu and Ketu can have impact on your social life. But again, I will redirect you to my previous video on the changes of positions of Rahu and Ketu. But in general, when ascendant descendants are not afflicted, mid-heaven, lower meridian, most probably are not, you will not really have great impact and changes as a result of these eclipses. And now we're looking at people who have sidereal ascendant Gemini or moon in Gemini, or if you're following the modern tropical astrology, this will be Cancer. Now for you, the first two eclipses take place on the axis of career house, 10th, 4th houses, and the second on the 28th of October eclipses take place on the axis of Aries, Libra. Now the first eclipses, if this is your mid-heaven, lower meridian, can have impact on your career and home situation. Therefore, and I mentioned these eclipses have impact for the next approximately 3 months and 10 days. So until late winter of next year, try not to make important new initiatives or to, this is a little bit, could be the influence in your horoscope. A little bit, be careful and very diplomatic in your career place. The second eclipses on the axis of 11th, 5th houses, again, I don't see them afflicting you so much, but you know well, because the last 2 years, all eclipses took place on this axis. But of course, they can have impact on your social life. So there also be a little bit careful on gains. Be more attentive with children in general. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Cancer or moon in Cancer, or if you're following the modern tropical astrology, this will be Leo. Now for you, the first eclipse on the 14th of October is happening on the axis of 9th, 3rd houses. And these eclipses can, if your mid-heaven, lower meridian pass through this position, this can, of course, bring changes in your spirituality, awakening, travel. Also, if you're, let's say, if your career is somehow related to education, also there. So, well, be a little bit careful, diplomatic. The second eclipses happen on your career, 10, 4th houses. So yeah, career-wise, education-wise, if you feel temporary limitations, keep in mind this will be active until, let's say, October, November, December, January, like until late winter time. As of February on, you can do a little bit more. You may feel that you're a little bit locked, like your growth, your study opportunities. This is because some changes are probably taking place, and you may need to be patient to see which direction to take. So be patient, be diplomatic in your career place, try to be more disciplined in your studies. And so this is a bit what I can say as a remedy, because these two axes of ninth, third houses and 10th, fourth houses will be influenced very much by the two coming eclipses. And then we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Leo or moon in Leo, or if you're following the modern tropical astrology, this will be Virgo ascendant or moon in Virgo. Now for you, the eclipses, the first two eclipses are happening on the axis of Pisces, Virgo, 8th, 2nd houses. This may eventually bring changes in your finances, the finances of a partner, communication with family members. And the second two eclipses on the axis of 9th, 3rd houses can still have impact on your spirituality, awakening. So temporarily, you may feel that financially things are being a little bit delayed, but they can open up late winter time, like as of February, because of the eclipses. This is a bit what may happen. Be patient, you know, do your routine work. You know, this is a little bit, but the rest for the second eclipse happening on the axis of 39th house, I don't see so much of affliction. Most probably this will be related to your spirituality. This can delay travel a little bit. Make sure that you're disciplined in your studies and you will be well. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Virgo or moon in Virgo, or if you're following the modern tropical astrology, this will be Libra. Now for you, the ascendant and descendant is where the first eclipse on the 14th of October is taking place. Be a little bit cautious, patient, loving with your partner. If you feel a little bit tension in your romantic life, again, be patient, loving, forgiving. This will be until, let's say, February. Later on, it will be easier. The second eclipse on the 12th, the second 8th houses axis, you know how this feels because the last 2 years our eclipses took place on this axis. This impacts a bit your finances. Therefore, yeah, just be patient. I think this is the last hit on your finances because as of February, I think things will improve. And now we have people who have sidereal ascendant Libra or moon in Libra, or if you're following the modern tropical astrology, this will be Scorpio. Now for you, the eclipses take place on the axis of your 12th, 6th houses. This is about the first two eclipses. They will have impact on your routine, on your health. Be a little bit more responsible for your health, really. Also, when you have disputes or, let's say, disagreements at work, try to be diplomatic. And then the second eclipse is on your ascendant. Descendant is something that you already know. You know how it feels for the last 2 years. This must have brought you many changes. Be more loving, patient with your partner, because like I said, I expect that the influence of these eclipses will not last so long. It will be mostly until February. But be loving, patient with partner. And then we have Scorpio, people who have sidereal Scorpio ascendant or moon in Scorpio, or if you're following the modern tropical astrology, this will be Sagittarius. Now, for you, second, the eclipses take place on the axis, the first two eclipses on the 14th of October, on the axis of 11th, 5th houses of yours. Now for you, the eclipse on the first eclipse is on the 14th of October on the 11th, 5th houses. Well, this has to do a bit with finances. There you may have small delay, be a little bit more attentive with children, can have impact on your friendship, social circle. There you may have a little bit of like delay financially, but after February, I believe things will get better. Especially important, this influence will be if your midheaven lower meridian pass through 11th, 5th houses, which is not always the case, but very often. Therefore, be patient with children, with friends, social circle. Also, when it comes to finances, be a little bit more careful and be a little bit more like diplomatic. Then the second eclipse in October happens for you on the axis of 12th, 6th houses. Be more responsible for your health and be more like patient and diplomatic at work. Be a little bit more careful with people. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Sagittarius or moon in Sagittarius, or if you're looking from the perspective of the modern tropical astrology, this will be Capricorn. For you, the first eclipses are on the axis of 10th, 4th houses. This will be like a new opening for the changes in your career place. In general, during the next 2 years, there you might experience some changes, but in general, the first dose of change, where you may need to be a little bit more careful, will be valid until, let's say, February. Then these eclipses will have impact then. So be diplomatic, careful when you know, because this is axis of your career, home. Be patient at home, careful, diplomatic at work. The second eclipse is on the axis of 11th, 5th houses have to do with children, with gains, with your social circle. But you know how it is because during the last 2 years, our eclipses took place there. So be a bit careful with friends, attentive with children, careful with money in the sense of be careful at work with superiors, financially careful in the sense of be more diplomatic, careful when you make financial decisions and so on. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Capricorn or moon in Capricorn, or if you're following the modern tropical astrology, this is Aquarius. For you, the first 2 eclipses happen on the axis of your 9th, 3rd houses. This is fine. This impacts spirituality, temporary, a bit delays travels, communication, negotiations, but has very good impact on your spirituality, awakening. And the 2 other eclipses are not very different. They are, but not so very different from the eclipses which took place last 2 years on your axis of 10th, 4th houses. This probably gave you many changes in your career, in your home. So again, these 2 eclipses will have impact for the next 3 months, 10 days, so until February, so to say. So be diplomatic, careful at home, career, and when it comes to study and also travel, you may experience some delay, but it will not be lasting really so long, at least after these first eclipses. Anyhow, with the new presence of the lunar nodes on the axis of 9th, 3rd houses of yours, you will experience great changes related to spirituality, awakening, travel. Temporarily, you may have delay until February, but then you will have very clear direction after that. And be diplomatic, careful in your career place. And now let's look at people who have sidereal ascendant Aquarius or moon in Aquarius, or if you're following the modern tropical astrology, this will be Pisces. For you, the first one eclipse happens on the axis of Virgo Pisces. Financially, you may experience a small delay or delay in the communication with family members a bit. So be a little bit more careful when you make financial decisions. But this blockage, especially now, will be until like February, at least from this impact of these eclipses. And then the second eclipse on the 28th of October is taking place on the axis of 9th, 3rd houses. For you, this is related to spirituality, but you know this because the last 2 years, all eclipses happened on this axis. So this can have impact on your education, spirituality, negotiation. So there you will experience changes, but this is the last dose of such changes. If you have delay in the studies, this blockage will be removed eventually after late winter. And now we see the last ascendant, which is Pisces. For you, the first two eclipses take place on your axis, Pisces, Virgo. The first eclipse, I mean, on this axis. This actually is the first eclipse of the eclipses which will take place for the next 2 years. Temporarily, this will bring you a bit blockage. This is not blockage because the universe wants to block you, but because it wants to show you new route, like new plan for you, something in this direction. So be patient. You will experience blockage like until late winter, but after that you will have clarity where the things are heading. Then the second eclipse on the 28th, 29th of October happens on the axis of second 8 houses related to finances. So this is the last of these eclipses, you know, and you know how it is. If you've experienced blockage in finances in particular, I think this will be over like by February. Then you will have totally different approach, different plans, different doors will be open to you. So more or less, this is the situation. So ladies and gentlemen, this was about the eclipses. Take a look at the first video on eclipses, and the previous one was on the lunar nodes and what they will bring to us for the next 18 months. And yes, I make such reading too on my website, only based on the next 2 years, not only because it will be including, you know, the analysis of the next 2 years, including eclipses and the placement of the lunar nodes on the axis of Virgo, Pisces. The link is under this video. So all the best to you, and remember there are remedies for everything, and we are very powerful and we are creating our own reality. This is a very important point to consider. All the best and see you very soon.